What is going on, everybody? Today we are at the Chiefs. My name is Dante. We are Chez Dante, and today we got the Chief here himself. But before I get into that, let me just play this intro music.
Perhaps your skills do extend a bit farther than basketball.
I don't have any headphones for you. It's a Drake song. I wish it could be a Drake song. But as I was saying, we are at the Chiefs. My name is Dante. We are Chez Dante. And today we got the Chief here himself, Mr. Dope Chief.
How's it going?
How you doing?
Good, I'm doing good.
So for this podcast, I don't really have a specific topic. I just talk about random ideas and random thoughts or whatever.
That's the topic. You know, I feel like the randomized nature of this interview is in itself the topic.
That's what I like about it. That's what I try and go with. The randomized nature, or like whatever ideas come to us during the conversation, we go with that.
Okay, love it.
Now, one of the ideas that just came to me is, I think one of the day we first met, shout out Drake, you mentioned how, you know, when you're doing your art, ideas come to you.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Ideas?
Yeah, like ideas, thoughts, and stuff like that for like inspirations.
All right. I think the simplest way I could put it, I think the simplest way in which I can state it.
State it any way you can. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It could be complicated. It could be simple.
I think it's simple. I mean simplest way in the way that like I can articulate it.
Okay, got you.
You know, and the way I can articulate it, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. So the best way I could put it is I believe ideas are very much like souls. Okay. Ideas are these things that live in a place, in a plane that we cannot see.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And they flow in and out of our reality looking for a host. Okay.
Yeah.
And depending on how good of a host we are, that idea will find life within our reality. Okay. So for example, let's say I'm an artist, right? Sometimes this is an old mural. I got to finish it. Sometimes an idea will come to me and I'll see it in my head.
Yeah.
And that idea will live there until I bring it into this reality, either through a sketch or through writing it down or through painting it.
Okay.
Right. And I think everything wants to be in this reality. Everything wants to be alive. And to be alive is to exist in this plane, I think.
Okay.
Ideas can evolve, ideas can get better. And if ideas are not used or they don't find the right host, they will vanish from our headspace and they will find a new host, which I think is why so many times, you know, you'll be like, you know, hey, you see an idea out in the world and you're like, that was my idea.
Yeah.
I thought of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's because our experiences led us to encounter these ideas in a way that, it's mutually beneficial. We become the hosts to something great, and that great thing can exist in this plane. So I think as a creator, as an artist, my job is just to be like a really easy vessel for these ideas.
What do you do to make yourself an easier vessel for these ideas?
I give more ideas a headspace. So like in my head, let's say, you know, there's a stage, right? And there's judges in front of that stage, and an idea will come on stage and it will present itself. And if it doesn't meet the criteria of these judges, it will be sent back into the ether, right?
Yeah.
But when you give an idea a little bit of attention, it craves more because it now exists in this plane in some form in your head. Even if it's up here in electrical signals, it exists that way. So I always push off ideas that are okay until they come back a bit better. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Yeah. But if idea is really good, maybe I'll turn it into a sketch. And I'll let it exist there, because if it wants to be an even bigger thing, it needs to work harder in my head to then become now a painting or now a sculpture or now something that I want to devote more energy into. It requires energy, right? Yeah. So I think showing love by giving energy to an idea shows it that we are willing to allow it to exist within our plane. So by saying, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this, you're giving energy to it, you're showing it love. And I think that's what allows good ideas to grow, is by doing and not just thinking.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And you mentioned, trying to show ideas love, right? And the way to do that is by bringing them here and doing whatever it is the idea is almost telling you. And I think one thing that's also interesting that you mentioned is like, you'll have an idea that's kind of okay, and you said you'll pass it back. It's like, come back, work out a little bit more, and then come back when you're 100%, a little bit of stronger idea. Has there been a time where it's like you passed an idea off, or you passed it away, and then it came back and you're like, whoa, like this is even, I couldn't even see this or whatever.
100%, all the time. I think it either happens in concept work, or the idea of wanting to do something where I'm not sure, I want to do a motion, like a stop motion animation, or like a sculpture or something, or I want to do something for a show. I think giving it just a little bit of attention is all it takes for it to know that you're willing to invest in it. Because a lot of people will think all day and they'll never do anything with it. Yeah. A lot of people have good ideas, and some of us are easier vessels for ideas to find us, either because our brains are just wired that way, or we were born with, just a little bit different than other people, or our experiences have led us to be like, hey, I come up with a lot of good ideas. Yeah. Some people are naturally that way. Some people have to work really hard to be
that's naturally me. I'm like the good ideas guy. I know. Come up with
See, I'm not necessarily a good ideas guy, right? But the way I go about it is I give a little bit of energy to a lot of ideas that I think are okay, and then I'm more strict with ideas and want more of my time. So if like a large painting comes to mind, I'm like, no, you need to, do more on that stage with those criterias. Now, an epiphany that hits you out of nowhere. Yeah. The way I can describe an epiphany is when you have that stage and you have these judges with those criterias, and the idea gets on that stage and it gets a 10 out of all those judges without you even putting thought into it.
It's not even a hesitation.
It meets the requirement for all those judges.
Like, send it through. They got the Nexus card.
Exactly. That is literally what epiphanies are. They're these ideas that come fully formed, and they're not. This is why I say vessel. This is why I say we are vessels into this reality, because how can I take credit for something that finds me fully formed?
Exactly.
How can I take credit for something that I'm like, came into my head so completely developed that I'm like, the only thing left to do is bring it into this realm. Yeah. It's like, it takes no time to do that, I think. Once an idea is just, there's no thinking about it. It's like, it's figured out. And I think the best way to have more epiphanies, more and more of these ideas that just kind of manifest themselves, is to give those little ideas some time and invest in that thing and let it grow, because then they realize, it's like, this is someone who's going to allow
this guy's listening to us or something.
You're becoming more connected with that, I think. Yeah.
Do you, now you mentioned like, sketching down some ideas. Do you have maybe like a book or like somewhere where you just have a whole bunch of these sketches where you're not even really sketching them to turn them into a painting, but you're almost sketching them to keep that connection with that like idea plane intact? Because I just recently listened to a podcast, and it was like a Rick Rubin. It was Rick Rubin on the Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how Eminem, he's always just writing, so that way when it's time to write like a rap or whatever, he already knows how to do it. Right. So do you have something like that where it's like, maybe it's a sketchbook, or maybe it's just like doodles or like whatever they may be, but it's like an idea might come like, okay, just write it down or something like that.
I think
or would that be like too much to do?
No, I mean, I think I always want to encourage things like that. Like Eminem's a good example of someone who like has mastered their craft, because it's in doing things like that you get to that point where you're so efficient with your own system that like, this is the best way of doing it. So for someone, it could be always carrying a sketchbook around or always carrying a notepad. My ADHD allows me to always be in so many different places mentally. But the one thing I always have with me is my phone. Always on the phone. So often I find that ideas will just exist as small notes that don't necessarily make sense in like my notepad and like my phone. Notepad.
Notes,
because I'm like, if the idea is good enough, when it's when I have my sketchbook in front of me, I'll turn it into a sketch. Otherwise, it stays as a note.
Yeah, it might be like a couple words.
Yeah,
like
exactly. It might be a phrase
on top of a tree or something like that.
That could spark something. I'm like, if it's good enough, again, that is the very first step I'm doing in allowing this idea to exist in this plane. And then if it's a good enough idea, it will do the work to find me again when I see it and be like, we evolved. We added this extra thing, or like now it's slightly better. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw that out. I'm gonna put that in my iPad or whatever. I think for me, it's usually my phone because it's always on me. But if I have my sketchbook, it'll definitely be a sketch. Or if I have my iPad, it'll be that. It's whatever device I have around me. But in its most simplest form is a note in my phone. And you're right. Sometimes just like random words.
A couple of words.
Like some open sort of door, blue. And then I'm like, what the hell was this? But if
yesterday's chief wrote this.
But if I see it, I'm like, oh shit. Then I'm like, oh, I got to elaborate on that because I remembered that it was such a good idea.
Do you ever go back? Like, do you have a scheduled time where you just go back over some notes that maybe you wrote it like 4 months ago, but you haven't like reviewed all the, because I'm sure like a lot of people, they have like so many notes on their phone and they never even go back.
Don't go back. So I think the way I'll do that sometimes is, one thing's great with like Google Photos, for example, because I forget how much work I do, and I just for posting on social media, on stories and stuff. I'm always like, what can I post? Because I have no idea what I do. And thank God for Google Photos, because I have photos for years there, right? So I go back and I'll scroll and I'll see works I've done. I'll post those. So I'm like, I forgot I did that. And it's just nice to like.
You always post that. Like I see you post. Make sure you go follow him at the Dope Chief on IG.
Absolutely.
You'll post like something where it's like 2017 Chief, 2018 Chief. I see you doing those posts.
Just like, it's just because like I found them and I'm like, man, I've actually been doing a lot. It feels like I do nothing. Like if I think right now, it feels like I've done maybe 3 projects this year, or like 4 like that's how little I feel I've done this year.
Meanwhile, in the time that I've known you, I know for a fact you've done more than 3 projects. Or
that I've done like all-nighters with paintings and shit. Like there's so many things like that, but I forget all the time. So
just real quick with that, do you think that you forget because you're so present in the moment? Like you're just like,
I'd like to think so. I like that it's not my bad memory. I like to say that it's definitely because I'm in the moment. But I think, to answer your question, like if it comes to like say poems or something I've written, or I'll just look for like keywords under like my notes, and that'll pull up things from like a while ago that I was half writing, and I'm like, oh, that was going somewhere. Let me expand on that. So I'll often scroll back and forth through my notes, even if they're really old, just because like I'll find like maybe a few words that I liked that could turn into something, or was the start of something. I was like, I just wasn't that right headspace. But keeping all these ideas kind of going means that like I'm slowly building, and then one of them's getting it to a point where, okay, that one's ready to like, let's do it.
Nice. There's I think there's good to getting into the habit of tracking those notes, or like, capturing those ideas. Cause, like I wouldn't say I recently started journaling, but it's been like maybe a year and a half. And like, just getting into the habit of, oh, this is an interesting thought. Let me write this down. Or like, even like with my phone, like, I have a folder, and I call these 4th dimension thoughts, right? Like, because like you said, the 3rd dimension is in this
where we are,
we're in the 3D, right? But then there are these thoughts that come from the 4th or the 5th. I don't know which dimension. I call it 4th dimension, just because that's the next one above. But that are like, they just come from nowhere, right? And I found that the more times that I started making note of it, or just like I'll do it on my phone or whatever, the more I started doing it, the more I started having these 4th dimensional thoughts, or like epiphanies, or like, you ever like have a thought where
this buys into my theory here, or my concept of ideas finding you.
So what I was gonna say is like, do you ever have a thought where even you having the thought, it's such a obscure thought that you're like, dang, like there's like a fifth dimension person higher, like, oh, seeing that you had this thought, it's like, okay, well, why did this thought just find me or something like that? What was happening? Like, you know, maybe you might be like listening to music and then you'll hear a lyric and then you'll have a crazy thought, but then you having the crazy thought takes you back like another layer. It's like, dang, he just had that crazy thought. Like, let's, you know, or that thought came to him, or you know, something like that.
I mean, I think for me, I stopped thinking about what is happening beyond the fourth realm in terms of trying to figure out where these ideas come from, or in the sense of like even religion or spirituality. There's a lot of things I don't believe in and a lot of things that I can't relate to, but I also know I know so little, and I've been here such a small amount of time that my purpose, I've been blessed enough to at least be satisfied and figure out for myself, which is to create. Right. So everything above me, smarter people who have lived longer, people who
Elon
have
Musk.
dove deeper, people, philosophers, fucking mathematicians, people who are brilliant have asked the exact same questions, and at the end of the day have come up with the exact same answers, which is we don't know.
I don't know shit.
Exactly. So
Socrates came up with.
Exactly. You know, and listen, I'm just an artist. That's all I'm here to do. I know that these ideas find me. I know that I don't understand where they come from. I know that there's something greater than me. I know there is, because that is what makes sense to me and what has worked in the sense of how I've been able to fulfill my own, not prophecy, but like my own destiny in the sense of like creating this world where I can just keep making more, because that's what I want to do. You know, I think I would get so lost in this idea of trying to figure out what is beyond even this realm that I'll never understand it.
And even I think it was like 2 weeks ago, or maybe last week, I was here, and your friend the carpenter was here, and he said something to me that I've been holding on.
Really? What did he say? Shout out Matthew. Matthew helped me with all my biggest projects, by the way. He helped me with everything, any large things I've done. He's dope.
You know, like I was talking about, you know, whatever, the universe, and then he's just like, how about it's just not that deep? You know what I mean? And then I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, he's so right, because I have this tendency to take something so deep, or like, oh, what's in the 12th dimension? And then here he is, just, you know, living his good, like, nice life. He's like, maybe it's not that deep. So now whenever I find that I'm going down these rabbit holes or whatever, I think back to that moment. I'm like, maybe it's not that deep. You know what I mean? Or at least like, I don't have to go that deep if I don't want to. You know, I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we can always search, we can always look, and we can always, you know, dive into these things because we're curious. And I think people just as in our nature, it's in our nature to be curious. But I mean, I think it serves us to have, at least it serves me to have the forethought to be like, again, smarter people have asked, people who have lived longer have asked, religions have given answers. There's all these, we have done so many things within society to cope with the unknown, because we fear the unknown so much, right? That one thing I know for certain, without denying it, is that our time here is limited and we don't know when it ends. Okay? So that means that if that is the only truth that is undeniable, if that is the only truth that we cannot escape, if every single person who has ever lived is smart, you know, powerful, rich, poor, you know, whatever they are, has experienced the same truth, which is you are here and then you are not. The most you can do with your time here, in my belief, is enjoy it, and that's it. Find a thing that brings you peace and do that. Find a thing that you enjoy to do and do that, or at least work towards that. You know, not everyone's situation is easy, and not everyone's situation allows them to be in a position where they can do that. But doing what you can to put yourself in that position, or seeking that, you know, I think is the best thing we can do, especially when you are privileged enough to live in a country or to be in a place in the world that gives you that you know, luxury of like, hey, I actually want to pursue something, and I don't have to be in the military, or I don't have to do this thing just to survive. You know?
Was there a time for you when you were kind of like you know, looking for all these answers, and then you came to this conclusion where it's like, you know what, I'm just going to do art. This is what makes me happy. Like you said, smarter people have already thought about these things. Yeah. Was there like a before and then after version of you where it's like, and then you decide to kind of like dive 100% into your art? Or
no, I think the reason I am, or I believe the things I believe I am the way I am, is because art itself was the only thing that's ever been consistent in my life. So, you know, give you a brief history of me. I've had ADHD since I was a young child, and it was never diagnosed, and it was never like treated in any way until very recently. I mean, in the last like 2 years, I think. So last 2021, I think I got diagnosed. So yeah, within the last 2 years, I was diagnosed, which means that like it affected so many parts of my life.
Yeah.
So many aspects of my life.
All aspects.
Yeah, every aspect of my life.
Every aspect.
It affected who I was, my mood, the things I pursued, the things I was interested in, the things I wasn't interested in, my emotions, everything that I thought were negative aspects of who I am based on my experiences in life were actually things that I had no control over. Things that like weren't things that I could deal with better by just being a better person, like not being forgetful, not being messy. You know, I hated those traits of who I was, because I'm like, you know, I'd go through so many stages in my life, so many different ages in my life where I was like, why can't I change this? I don't want to do this anymore. Or when I was a kid, I used to hate art because during class, I'd always find myself like doodling and not paying attention. And I always thought it was because of the art that I would stop paying attention to everything around. But it was really the art, the only thing that focused me, the only thing that I could pay attention to. Everything else just wasn't interesting, you know? So I focused on art. And, you know, I could never hold jobs. I could never, you know, relationships were very difficult for me, and so many different things were very, very difficult. And yet I was able to get to the point where I had my own studio. I was able
Which is a great studio. Like, this is one of my favorite places to be in Hamilton.
I know, the
like,
energy it's cultivating here is
awesome.
is fantastic. It's slowly getting to that point, you know, we slowly keep going to get that place to where I want it to be, where it becomes a place that just cultivates creativity. But like, again, I did all these things, not being able to pursue anything else. I couldn't hold jobs for very long, not because I was a lazy person or anything, but because they lost my interest, and I would mentally be so fatigued that I could not be there. Yet art kept happening, in the sense of like, people would still want art from me. People liked what I was doing. People would still commission me. And, you know, it really pushed me to be like, hey, you know, this is the only thing I can do. This is the only thing I want to do. I'm focusing on this. So in 2018, I decided to do this full time. You know, and the reason I I've been treated and diagnosed for ADHD was because at one point in 2020 or 21, it got so bad that like my mental fatigue, I'd come into the studio and I couldn't focus on anything, not even the art I wanted to do. And there was no distractions. I was like, good. I was in my space. Like, there was nothing to bug me, yet I couldn't work. And I feel like that's when I knew there was a bigger issue, because now it was like, this thing is not allowing me to focus on art. The only thing that's ever been consistent with me, or the only thing I've ever been able to do. So, you know, I think for me, it's always been, art has been the reason I'm here, the thing that I've dove into for some reason. And I don't know more than that, in the sense that like, I am just that. I'm just an artist. I'm that vessel for that. You know, and the things that come out of that are coming from somewhere else. And I can't try to explain it because I myself don't know. But it doesn't matter, because I enjoy it. And that's all I can do while I'm here.
And that's I was gonna say, like, that's the best thing that you can do. Is like, you know, you can choose to like let it bother you or whatever, and like, oh, like, you know, I want to do this, but I can't right now. And then you let that get you down. And then because you're down, you're not going to do other things. Or you could just be like, well, this is how I am right now. I enjoy it. We move. You know what I mean? You kind of just keep moving forward. So,
and I think that's how, you know, I'd like to continue to like pursue things in life. It's never easy, and it's never predictable necessarily. And things come out of nowhere. But like, I know that like, no matter what I'm doing, like, or no matter what happens, whether I have a studio or not, whether, you know, people whether they want my work or they don't, like, I'm still going to make art. And that's going to be the thing I pursue. Whether I'm successful in the definition of people's definition of success or whether or not. Like
that right there's another thing that I know it's not a unique quality, but one thing that you've always said is like, you know, whatever you define as success, right? You always mention like being successful or whatever you yourself define as.
What is your definition?
I think that's such an important distinction to make
100%,
because I feel like a lot of people are striving to be other people's
idea of success,
ideas of success rather than their own.
Yeah, I think so too. I think success is the pursuit of a worthy ideal. And I think the worthy, and who said that? That's Earl Nightingale said that. It was like one of the earliest things I ever listened to that really impacted me. He said success is, the pursuit of any worthy ideal, which is basically, you know, you putting the effort, you putting the energy into something that you think is worthy enough to pursue. Because again, like, I don't think people do that enough. Like, you know, we pursue a job to have a comfortable life. Yeah. You know, so that we minimize our suffering. And that's someone else's idea of what they think success is, right? Yeah. Is to minimize the suffering in their life, whatever that suffering is, not being able to pay bills, whatever it is, you know? And that is their idea of success. My idea of success is not that. Yeah. My idea of success is being able to create every day the way I want to create. Yep. You know, not, you know, deciding what I want to work on, when I want to work on it. Yeah. Having the space to do it. Like, this is for me paradise. This is for me, you know, the most, I'm super grateful for it. Yeah. Because it's allowing me to have a space where we can do these kind of things, where we can allow more people who are creating ideas to exist. Yeah. And so like, not only is like you painted this, but there's like, you know, maybe I'll do like a behind the scenes stuff, but there's art, there's painting here. There's all that is Vaughn's.
Shout out to Vaughn.
Yeah. All that. Right,
you know, studio manager, photographer, videographer. Even
this furniture came from Heidi, who used to own a restaurant.
That's right. That's why they look so familiar. I think at Bamboo.
That's where it was. You were with us, right? When we had the dinner, the lunch or whatever. Yeah. These are from there. Yeah. The thing is, like, even her coming, the reason these are here is because she came into the fashion show with us. Yep. She was one of the designers. Yep. And she leased out the space, and she came and gave us these. Yeah. So it's like all these things. Yeah. All these things come from, I don't know, this idea of having a space that allows more things to happen. Yeah. You know, and it's like, I think if I can be a vessel for creating, then having a space that allows more creation, I'm allowing that to be more true.
It's almost like you're a vessel for creating a vessel that creates more creation.
Yeah, I think if I'm a vessel that just is in charge with creating, then by allowing others or giving others a space to create, in a way, I'm creating more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that proves to whether it's God or the Omega or the universe or the higher Optimus beings Prime that are sending these ideas. Yeah. Optimus Prime. Whatever it is that is there, it shows. It is almost the way we pray to say, this is my sacrifice. I'm sacrificing the energy of, you know, the energy in this realm to make this happen, because that is my calling. Yeah. So then it aligns you with the universe. And I think that's when things start happening more in your favor, or things start happening in a way that you can't really explain. And again, I'm not religious. I'm not, I don't even know if I'm spiritual, but I know there's things I can't explain. Yeah. And I know there's things that I'll never understand, but my time here is so limited that, like, I don't care how this game was built. I'm just here to exist in it.
I'm so curious. I want to know how it works. I want to see. I want to see the code, dude.
But so many people do, right? And I think that's where I think so many people have wanted to for so long, and I think that's where religion came from. I think that's where beliefs have started. And I think
for me, just with that really quick, like for me, even like religion, I see religion as like almost like a textbook or like a manual of how to see the code of the game. Yeah. Right. Like, I think like the reason they decided to put together this religion is because they thought these ideas, or maybe the ideas themselves decide, or whatever it is, these ideas need to be here for a long time. Yeah. We have to get a group of people to formulate around it and say, these are the ideas. Make sure you pass these ideas down.
I mean, I think if you look at any religion and at its core, I think if you look at every religion at its core, you know, they're really strong and good ideas.
Yes.
And I think because they're such good ideas and they're such basic ideas, they've existed for so long, right? The things that get mucky are when people tribal, find their tribe in the specific words of their specific religion and create conflict within their own beliefs. But like, with religion itself, and I think I heard this recently, or I saw this somewhere recently, where it was like, there's two types of religion in the world. There's the centralized religion, and there's the one that is like extra something. External, where one type of religion connects you to the higher being, and the other type of religion shows you that like you are the higher being. So one is external, where you're reaching out, and one is where it's from within going out. Right. And either way,
or as the Hermetic principles say, as above,
so below. Right.
But sorry, keep going.
No, because that's fascinating too, because it's also one of these ideas that, like, regardless on what you end up with at the end of the day, I think, you come back to the same conclusion, at least in my, in my head, which is like, you decide what works for you, decide what's good for you, decide what morals you're going to abide to, and then you kind of move from there. But I don't know. I think I've found my peace just as a person who creates. Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to be. You find what it is you do.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can to keep doing that.
Doing it, yeah. And you know what? And that's the thing. I think the peace in life, or like in life, I think you should seek peace and not necessarily happiness. Like, seek contempt, because happiness is a thing that's fleeting. You'll never always be happy, and you shouldn't be always be happy, because you're gonna forget what being happy feels like if you're always happy.
And also, my thoughts on that real quick is if you're always trying to be happy, you're saying to yourself that you're currently not happy. Yeah. So you're just gonna always not be happy, trying to be happy all the time.
Always in the pursuit of this high. Like, whenever I feel like whenever I just, I don't know, I feel down, or I find so much joy in just stopping and just really taking a second to be like, I have to be grateful for where I am. Yep. I have to be grateful that I have my freedom, that I have my health, that like I'm in a place where I can create. I take toll of like what I have, instead of like what I'm pursuing, or the things I don't have, or the things I lost. Because you can always find negativity in those things, but when you need a second to just take account of what we have, I think that's where I find my joy. Yeah, like gratitude, and just being like, fuck,
I think gratitude is so important.
Oh my god,
so important.
Yeah, but I don't think enough people do it. But like, you get a second to just be like, wow.
And I think, like, especially, you just had your procedure and stuff like that, and that's like another like thing where it's like that opens up more things to be grateful for.
Yeah, no, honestly, like,
you know what I mean? Like, there's some people that it's like, I don't have anything to be grateful for, and then I could be like, you have 2 nostrils, like, be grateful.
Seriously, like, I just literally got a surgery yesterday, and it was the most dreadful 72 hours of my life. The pain was agonizing.
Were you awake for the surgery?
Throwing up from the pain. No, I wasn't. This is the thing that sucks. That surgery was 45 minutes long. I waited 72 hours for a 45-minute.
Oh, so you had to wait. Ooh,
wow. So I was on a list. Yeah. And because other people kept like being on the list, they kept bumping me.
That's crazy.
Until it looked like I might start getting an infection from what I had. Like, the thing I had was like, it just needed to be removed, which was my gallbladder. Like, it wasn't a big, like, it was blocked and it needed to be removed, which caused the pain. But then it looked like it might get some sort of infection from it. So like, okay, we're going to bump you up. I'm like, I waited 3 days for a 45-minute procedure. It's crazy.
And was that in that waiting, that's what was making you like nervous or something? Or
no,
like you were just in pain that whole time?
It was literally just the physical pain. I wouldn't have minded waiting. I wouldn't have minded if they're like, you got to be here for a week, because that's when we'll get you in. I would have brought my iPad. It would have done work. I would have. I'm cool. It's chill.
But it was like you were actually in pain.
Agonizing pain. That like, they weren't giving me enough pain meds for it. It was hard to move. Like, it was unbearable. And it's so funny because it's like, it was such a reminder that, like, Sunday I was good.
I know.
No, Saturday I was good. Saturday I was good.
Yeah.
No problems at all.
Yeah.
Sunday at like 5 a.m, I woke up with this horrendous back pain. I thought I just slept wrong or something, you know, and then just got worse. So I took myself to the ER, and it's like from that point, it's like it was dreadful for the last.
Yeah.
And yeah, right now, like I got a surgery yesterday, so I'm still super sore, and I can like.
Yeah. But
sucks.
Now that you're feeling better,
Yeah.
do you feel more grateful than you were on Saturday?
Oh my God. I honestly though, even when I was in agony, even as I laid there, I was grateful. And I'll tell you what I was grateful for. I was grateful as I lay there. I was angry.
Yeah.
I was so angry. I felt that my pain had turned to anger because of how long, like that. I was going through the process of like, why am I so angry now?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, because I've been in so much pain.
Yeah.
That emotion is now just. It turned aggressive. So I was happy I was able to recognize that, but at the same time, like, it doesn't change that I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah.
But the thing that like made me grateful while I was there was realizing that I'm like, I'm in here 3 days, 45-minute procedure, might be in here, depending on how the procedure goes, 2 days afterwards, you know? If I was in the States, I'm an artist. There's no way I would have been insured. If I was in the States, that would have been maybe, I don't know, 20, 40 grand, you know, maybe more.
Yeah. Yeah. For
And
sure.
in the States, you're in debt. Like, yo, you lose everything. They'll take you to jail.
Yeah, they'll take
like,
you.
you're going jail.
Which is so crazy.
It's
like,
not. You lose your freedom, bro.
Because you had something wrong.
Because you had something wrong. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so as I'm sitting there, I'm like, thank God.
Thank the heavens I live in Canada.
Like thank God, because like if I'm really dying, like I'm in horrendous pain. Like I want this to stop. But if I was like dying, they'd see me right now. Right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because I was there for so long. I don't got to pay. Like, you know, we don't have to like.
You don't have to pay for the bed you're staying in either.
I don't have to pay for the
You
bed.
don't have to pay for the ride there.
Yeah, all the medicine that they started giving me for the pain and shit.
Yeah, I remember my cousin. He was like, he was telling me he didn't like, even if he breaks his arm, he didn't want to go in the ambulance because you have to pay more money.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. So even in my moment of, you know, it didn't help. Like I didn't feel like. I didn't feel grateful. Like I felt like I was grateful for it. Yeah. But I didn't have the feeling of great because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
But I could like understand the gratitude and saying like, there was a relief of being like, man, that would really suck. Because maybe they would see me sooner, but like I would never be able to afford that. You know, off the bat, like now I'm in debt more than like that's a student loan. You know, and that could be, and that's, you know, who knows how long that could take. So yeah, I think. Even in that, I was just like, man, I was able to walk out of there, no issue. Yeah. You know, I'm
here today. We're having this great conversation.
Like a day later, I'm like alive. And if there's something if there's an issue, I can go back. Like, I don't know, man. I feel very, very blessed. And this is why I love this city though. Like I everything about this place, I love, but I try finding gratitude in in those things.
Well, we're at the 40-minute mark. So I think we'll end it off. We'll say what are 2 things that you're grateful for?
2 things that I'm grateful for. Definitely this.
It doesn't have to be that you're the most grateful for, but just any 2 things you're grateful for. Okay.
I'm definitely grateful for this space. Now that we've been talking about it, it just revitalized my love for it. And I'm grateful we haven't had winter weather yet. I'm enjoying these days where it's like chilly, but it's like kind of a little bit warm.
It was nice. That. It was nice, like during the week. Like
there was some warm days. So I'm grateful for that. Just because like I know
even today it's nice.
That's only we're gonna get some shitty, you know, winter weather as you do in Canada, but like these days have been nice.
Nice. Awesome. Well, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure if you want to get on the episode, send me a DM on Instagram at Chez Dante. Make sure you follow at the Dope Chief on Instagram.
Yes.
Anywhere else they can follow you? Or
that's it.
Just, TikTok as well. You're on
TikTok, Just Dope Chief anything. Okay. Google that and you'll find everything.
All the info will be in the description below when I upload this to YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and play this outro music.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate this. This is great.
Let's see how I do this.
Further. I'm sorry? You said my skills extend farther than the basketball court.
Farther relates to distance. Further is a definition of degree. You should have said further.